Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. I am Joe Peterson. I'm Vice President of Cloud and Security for Clarify 360 and the Chief Analyst at ClearTech Research. And I am here with the man, the myth, the legend, Evan Kirstel, tech influencer extraordinaire. Hi, Evan.
Hey, Joe. Great to see you again.
Thank you so much for making time to visit.
Always, of course.
Guys, in case you somehow are not familiar with Evan, I don't know how that could be. Evan has over 600,000 followers in tech across multiple platforms and is a go-to voice for all things tech, including cybersecurity. Again, welcome, Evan.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
So, in keeping with the ClearTech Loop hot take approach, we're going to ask Evan 3 questions about AI security and get his take on things. So, let's get right to it with the first one. How can cybersecurity professionals leverage generative AI to break out of that sort of traditional tools and tech mindset and drive more innovative thinking and execution in their security programs?
Oh, gosh, where do I start? I mean, there's just so much opportunity. And of course, Gen AI is being baked into all the tools that we know and love. And there are, brand new capabilities out there that are being invented that are Gen AI or AI native platforms. So I'll just start with, things that caught my eye. Certainly AI powered triage. We all know that time is of the essence in an attack, and the amount of time you spend on incident response matters down to the minute, the hour, the second, and what have you. So I think triage is a big opportunity. I just call out like Microsoft Security Copilot, for example. I think you know
Mhm.
their solution pretty well. They can cut incident response times from hours to minutes. So just like an emergency room, minutes matter. So that's a huge opportunity, not just in Security Copilot, but really all the tools related to triage. And speed, speed is of the essence. So generating not just detection faster, but detecting more faster. Like I know that another company, you probably know, IBM, Watson X, use Gen AI to kind of write and validate new detection rules in real time. So you're not just detecting faster, you're actually analyzing faster as well. So it's changing everything about response. I think that's hugely important. And I think it's also enabling analysts to predict, not just react. So we're used to reacting
Mhm.
in security, always in IT in general, we're very reactive, where I think AI will free up more capability and give us new superpowers to kind of um, be proactive and not just reactive. I know like CrowdStrike, for example, is yeah, training its Gen AI on billions of endpoint signals, and it is able to kind of flag ransomware precursors early in the process. So you're not just learning about new ransomware in the the rearview mirror. You're actually seeing what's happening and what's being created in real time. That's huge. Also, I think training and simulation.
Mhm.
It's the old you know train, train, prepare, prepare, prepare. You know that from your Air Force days. I think you're always training and preparing and doing drills and ahead of real world exploits. I think a lot of these new models are enabling us to simulate attacks so we can simulate our responses and prepare before the hackers do. So I think that's super important. And education is kind of like discovery as well. I
Mhm.
think a dark trace is looking at ways to find those mythical 0-day exploits that are so dangerous and rare, but very dangerous, by spotting unusual behaviors that humans just wouldn't catch, right? Through sifting through, billions of data points. So those are a few ways, but there are so many more. I just pulled some examples that I sort of read about in the news, but there's really no limit to the opportunity for Gen AI and security.
Those are some really strong examples, and you make some points that are sort of layered in there that are important. I think that this gives us a chance to really up level our more entry level SOC folks, right? And it gives them remediation paths. So it
Mm,
offers them options. It doesn't just find things, but it gives solutions to the problem,
mm.
right? So that's kind of cool as well. So lots of good things. Second question: how can organizations embed security and privacy controls into their AI model development without slowing down innovation?
Yeah, that's key. We've got to make security sort of baked in from the beginning. It's so often still an afterthought on a lot of the model training. And there's some interesting work being done by startups whose name escapes me, but they're training models with differentiated privacy from the beginning,
Hmm.
so they can kind of shield sensitive data from exposure right at the front end and turn it versus leaking it out the back end. So it's sort of built-in data controls. I think OpenAI actually has enterprise AIs that ensure zero retention of data,
Yep.
because you don't want the model to hang on to your data. If you're in healthcare, you're in finance, you're in a lot of industries, that's an absolute no-no. So I think even the big players are waking up, have woken up to this problem. So I think it really is, secure frameworks. And I think that can actually mean faster launches because you don't need all that verification and testing SQA on the back end to discover and fix all the problems that you've created on the front end. I think like Salesforce, for example, they have automated security reviews into Agentforce releases. So it's just sort of integrated automatically into the process. There's a lot of like automated compliance happening now too. That's pretty cool. Like compliance again is like one of these things a lot of engineers, data scientists kind of don't necessarily think about at the beginning. So something like an Amazon Bedrock will auto enforce certain policies and practices during model training, like HIPAA and GDPR and other SOC 2 for other frameworks, which is a big help. I think that will be a big deal. Just putting it out of not something you don't have to worry about. It sort of becomes a checkbox. And also in testing, amazing work being done with testing cycles and how do you help developers not just develop code but flag security vulnerabilities as they code, so it's not like one of those typical develop test cycles, but it's sort of happening in real time with like GitHub Copilots doing that. So that's kind of cool as well. So again, so many opportunities, and it's just going to require a brand new rethinking of embedded security and how you develop and test software. And I tell you, it's just amazing what's happening there with automated code gen. And I think the security around it is as important as the tools that are being rolled out.
Right. And those are such great points. And, I like that we're seeing sort of collaboration between teams. 5 years ago, there wasn't a network security engineer. The title didn't exist, really. I mean, maybe isolated here and there, but it wasn't sort of a norm title. And the same thing
Mm,
happens with developer security, right? So now you've got a dev security person that maybe sits between the security team and the dev team, and that can sort of help and coordinate and provide a bridge. So that's all good stuff that's occurring. Last question: how should the CISO be thinking about AI adoption, not only in terms of its use to secure emerging threats, because we kind of talked about that a bit, but more from the organizational governance perspective? Like, how do they find balance?
yeah, I don't think CISOs have much balance these days. What a job, huh? I wouldn't want that
Tough
job.
job.
Yeah, tough job, even tougher job. It's kind of overwhelming. what I'm hearing, I'm sure you're hearing the same on your show, but from my show is, using AI to secure AI,
Yeah.
is a big theme. I think even about things like deep fakes and fake IDs. And I mean, there are like 30 Evan Kirstels on social media, crazy stuff. And that's only going to get worse with deep fakes, voice and video deep fakes. So I think some of like what DeepMind is doing around synth ID to secure images and videos with watermarks is really cool. And I think we're going to need more on that. So you don't have these, investor calls that are completely faked. You can kind of differentiate between what's real and what's not. Um, I think, CISOs are putting up more guardrails that will keep everyone on a certain path and that provides governance. They can fast track deployment without, going off the rails, pun intended. So like JP Morgan has a whole AI governance framework that they use
Mhm.
internally to develop new chatbot applications, and everyone's on the same page. So no one's sort of going rogue and has to worry about compliance problems after the fact. So that's kind of cool. Um, and again, AI as a enabler we talked about, but also as a kind of a threat hunter. It's out there doing work that you can't do. You can't spend all your days on Twitter and Reddit forums looking for, following new challenges. You only have so much time of the day. Of course, AI has an infinite amount of time to find new threats, identify those, so you can kind of outpace adversaries that might be targeting your organization or organizations like yours. So I think that's really interesting. And I really like the work that companies are doing to go on the offense.
Mhm.
Like with Palo Alto Networks, they're using Gen AI to sort of automate red teaming
Mhm.
and stress testing and pen testing. So you don't just have to wait to be attacked and respond, but you can think more proactively and offensively about threats. And the whole like communication and collaboration dynamic is probably changing, and it has to change faster. Like how the CISO reports to the board on security risks and, engages with the wider team on customer trust and brand teams that have to deal with reputation. So it's not just like you're sitting in your siloed office and you're just talking to your IT and security people all the time. That's sort of wider communication. I know Walmart is breaking down a lot of those barriers across the CISO to the board. And so, yeah, all this is necessary good.
I think you make a great point, and maybe, we're all growing and learning as we go here, but it seems to me that maybe the big thing will be that this is going so quickly that it's going to force some of those silos to fall down, and it's going to force communications, right, quicker, which are good things. So, as always, it's a joy to talk to you. Thank you so much for the time, and everyone, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.